Well, to talk a bit more then about that summit in Vladivostok, our correspondent Nick Holdsworth joins us now. Nick, what is Vladimir Putin actually doing this week?
Well, in Vladivostok, what he's basically doing is setting out an argument that Russia's economy is weathering the Western sanctions, that these aren't really affecting it, that the sanctions are having a far greater effect on the West. In response to that proposal to put a price cap on oil that the Western nations would pay to Russia for its oil in order to restrict the amount of money it's receiving from increased oil prices to fund its war in Ukraine, he's saying his response would be, we won't supply anything at all that contradicts Russia's interests. He said we will not supply gas, oil, heating oil, or coal. We won't supply anything. Now, that's quite a serious threat. And I mean, obviously, that would have economic consequences for Russia, because Europe usually imports around 40% of its gas and 30% of its oil from Russia. But at the same time, there's this pivot now towards Asia and China. Those military drills that have been taking place at the same time as the Economic Forum in Vladivostok in that region and just off the coast in the Sea of Japan have involved Chinese, Indian troops and other troops from smaller countries that are friendly towards Russia. And Putin is also due to meet with the Chinese leader next week in Uzbekistan. So basically what Putin is saying is, okay, so you want to put the squeeze on us, the West? Well, we just won't sell you anything that you need. You've got to get through a very tough, cold winter, and we've got new partners on our doorstep here in the Far East of Russia that we can deal with, we can trade with, we can work with.
A suggestion then, Nick, that Russia is developing a far closer relationship with Beijing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, in Soviet times, Beijing and Moscow were partners, but they had a fractious relationship. They haven't always had an easy relationship in recent years, but certainly this year, with Putin having already met Xi Jinping in Beijing just before the Winter Olympics in February, a few weeks before he launched his war against Ukraine, they seem to be having a better relationship. Now, my understanding is actually that Putin and Xi Jinping agreed at that meeting in February that Putin wouldn't launch his attack on Ukraine until after the Beijing Olympics had concluded. And now he's due to have a meeting at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting in Samarkand in Uzbekistan, Central Asia, next week. Now, that will be the first time that Xi Jinping has travelled outside of China since the COVID pandemic hit. And that seems quite significant. I mean, we don't have any details about that other than the Russian side saying that they will be serious talks and a full-fledged meeting to talk about bilateral and international issues of common interest to Russia and China.
Nick Holdsworth, thank you very much.